Live.
Thank you, Jody. Good evening and welcome to General Council for June 10th, 2025. Let's go to number one, attendance roll call. Go ahead, Carrie, we'll start with you.
Councillor Carrie Bombury, present.
Councillor Helen Miller, present.
Councillor Audrey Powis Bombury, present.
Dale Bombury. Greg Fraser.
Hazel Johnson.
Councillor Leslie Green, present.
Melba Thomas.
Elena Venevri.
Cynthia Jameson.
And online we have our new CEO, Tracy Brandt. So let's go to number two. So let's go to number two, identification of media. I don't see any. Let's go to number three. Let us please take a moment of silence to honor the community members who we have recently lost. Let's take a moment. Thank you. Let's go to number four, adoption of general council agenda. Is there a mover? Moved by Audrey, second by Leslie. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Let's go to number five, delegations. Nancy Porter. Come on up. Yep, you can come on up. Do you want to? No, it's up to you. Thank you for, yeah. Thank you for coming in tonight. Yep, just press the button. It'll turn red. There you go.
Okay.
Mhm. And we have Dean Hill also joining us. Thanks. Oh, and Amos Key. And also we have Councillor Amos Key joining us also. So thank you for joining us, Nancy. And tonight we're going to listen to what your information. There will be no decisions tonight, but council is very interested in hearing all parties regarding the issue.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the floor is yours.
As you know, I'm here for the massive grow up in behind the property where I reside with my mother, Joyce Porter. My name is Nancy Porter, and I'm here on behalf of my mother and my family to express our concerns and ask questions regarding the massive cannabis grow operation located directly behind my mother's home. As a Haudenosaunee woman, and my responsibility to be a steward of the land, and I'd like to share a history of the land as we were raised on. There's been 5 generations of my family on this land, and my grandfather and father grew food and farmed, feed the people. My mother raised 10 kids, and we worked on the farm, and she still here today to see what has become of it. 7 years ago, it started out being a tobacco field, which lasted 5 years, and now you can see what it has become today, a massive cannabis grow operation with multiple greenhouses and other buildings which have been has been caused my mother and family great disruption in our peaceful way of life. I have been trying to bring awareness to this serious situation for the last year, but have never received any answers until there was a live video that provided people with a glimpse of exactly what was happening. We have been we had multiple meetings and many community members and have drafted a list of concerns and questions as this has been affected many people living within close proximity of this business. We're bringing these concerns to you because it's your responsibility to provide answers as a Six Nations Cannabis Commission was created under this council. Here's a list of questions that are handing out, and we'd like to request a written response from the Six Nations Cannabis Commission by July 1st, 2025. So I'll read the questions, and you said you weren't going to provide any response, or would would you be able to even answer some of it like now, or will they have to be, would this be in a later date, or could we discuss?
For sure at a later date, but, yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The first one is, why haven't you responded to my request provided my mother a phone number that would call for immediate safety concerns? I know we discussed that, Sherry Lynn, over the phone. Still waiting. I know possibly you're still working on it, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
when they said they gave me just, remember I said the email and stuff, and you said,
Yeah.
I already have that?
yeah,
So I'm still, yeah.
yeah, so there won't be a phone number provided, just in case, something goes on there, because there's quite a few people around there, and not knowing who they are or what they're, why they're even there. That's been an ongoing situation for the last year. As you know, this started a year ago, like in February, March of last year. So as I observed pretty much everything that went on there, and I just want s- a phone number that I could call for safety reasons. Just, they have security there, but they're securing what's there. Like, we need something for our safety that I could, call right away if something goes on. Because the police were called a few times, but, there was so much misunderstanding on who plays what part. Us being residents, the police, what they can do, as it's been an ongoing issue. And I had filed a couple complaint about a couple police officers before. Um, so if you would please, that would be so
Yes, for
helpful.
sure.
Okay, number two, at the last council meeting, it was mentioned that the MOU has expired. So can you explain what was the agreement upon?
Yes, that's what we're, working on now. And, and I think with everything going on, there's needs to be changes for sure. And I think that's something that, in working on this MOU can, what's working, what's not working, you know? So for sure, that's, working on that.
Okay.
Yep.
Could you tell me in that MOU if was there any agreements? Oh, well, like you said, you can't tell me, but I would just like to know, was there any agreements when I brought this to this commission in July, that were they were they supposed to be contacting when any concerns were brought to the commission, to be to brought to your attention too? Was that part of any kind of agreement with you and with the council and commission?
So if you brought concerns to them, were they
Yeah.
supposed to bring it to us? Is
Yeah.
that what you're asking? Since it's a commission, they're supposed to deal with them themselves.
Right,
Yeah, that's the MOU because they're a commission. Yeah.
right.
hmm
So if it fell on deaf ears there, how would I have gotten it to you?
That's what we're working
Working
on
on?
because that's how you got to the committee
Right,
because that's what was happening, to my understanding, right? When
okay.
you went to
Okay, number 3, you said that you didn't have the authority to revoke the license, but yet published a statement that all license will be halted for 6 months. How did you have the authority to halt the license, but you couldn't revoke them? Revoke that license from them.
so right now, so we just put a stop on everything. So for anything new or anything coming, the council decided just to stop on any new licenses or anything. So from anything before, that's what we're working on now. But that's why we put that out there that everything's on hold. Mhm. Anything new?
Nothing in the past, like the
No,
operation itself.
that's what we're working on now. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. But anything new for 6 months is on hold.
Why wasn't there any environmental assessment done prior to the approval of this license, of this project?
So that's what we can find out because there is one. So we're trying to um, gather each side.
Right. So there was one?
So there is one, yeah.
There was an environmental assessment done
Mhm.
on this property.
Yeah, so that's what we're looking into more of getting all the pages, all the papers, and to see when it was done and stuff. Yeah. Mhm.
So you wouldn't be able to tell me if it would be back to 2024.
I don't have the documents on me, but
Right.
for sure I can find out when it was. Mhm.
Okay. And the other one was why wasn't the local homeowners and businesses within the community consulted prior to this project?
And again, we can ask the commission because that was part of it, right?
Yeah. What's the name on a license? Bootleg Farms or Legacy Farms?
To my understanding, it's Legacy Farms.
Are you aware under the Cannabis Corporation of Canada, there will be no transportation of cannabis from one place to another?
I'm
No.
no,
I would like to
but I will,
mention that these questions I experienced them and I observed of different trucks and, vehicles nonstop coming into this operation. Is there not supposed to be someone there to report? Like if you halted everything, and does that mean they don't have to report to nobody or is it just gonna go on to just continue business as usual? Like are they supposed to be reporting to anybody at this time? Or when you put out in a press release that you had, halted everything, like stopped everything?
so the halted just the new licenses. So the commission is not supposed to give out any new licenses to anybody. So that's
Um,
what that was, just a halt. Anything new?
right.
Mhm.
What about the daily operation there? Like what's gone on from that time to now? which has, more construction of these greenhouses, estimated count of over 100 there now.
And that's what we're doing now, is doing our due diligence to hear your side of the story.
Right.
And anything that stopped is just stopped on the licenses are halted. Anything else reports still to the commission.
Oh,
Mhm.
um, this is another, I'm gonna add this in. Um, a few days ago, I observed that, they brought this peat moss in from Manitoba. Um, I have a document that states that. And I don't understand why all of this stuff is coming in from all over the place to our territory, not knowing exactly what are these products or what are they bringing in. Like that was always the unknown of everything that was going on there. And that's one thing that nobody knows. Just them, I guess, because they have not to report to anybody. On an instance in January of this year, 2025, I was doing dishes, looking out my back window, seeing them loading up this cannabis in a tractor trailer. Uh, Unknown, look, working back there. Got in his vehicle, and they both went out the driveway. And that's what I can observe because there was no greenhouses there. I could see straight right back to there. And that was, I can honestly say that was on a daily basis. Not only dealing with that was also the part of dealing with these contractors that were on this land, constantly pushing on me, you know, being vulgar. The police were called. The police were called on me, and I called them on what was going on in a situation where my mother's land was being flooded. And recently, 3 weeks ago, they could have caused $30,000 in damage if it wasn't dug out in a corner where that water was up so high. The non-native came in, got in a machine, come all the way around. This is like 4 o'clock that day. Dug it out. It only took 10 minutes to dig out that corner. And all that water just flooded right out and went right to where it's supposed to. Because they blocked the natural waterway. In order to do that, they wanted to put all those greenhouses because they went across from one end of the field to the other side, right across the back of all of our properties. So I own the property right beside the driveway, the only driveway that gets into this property. There's only one way in and one way out. It's landlocked. So all my family lives in front of it, the Miller family around it. And my cousins own the other part of the property on the other side of the other big field. So that's what I'm saying. It's landlocked. There's no other way in, no other way out. And that's unsafe. If anything was to happen, how can anybody get out of there? The only way they can go is go through people's property. Very, very unsafe. Not considering our own people that live around there. The harmful on a daily basis that we had to live with and still do today. The unknowns that are back there. People walking up and down a driveway. I have pictures. I have probably thousands of pictures I have observed over the last year what was going on back there. Very, very unsafe, no security. And I even asked him, I said, if they want to get at your stuff, they're going to have to go through our property to get back there. There's only one driveway. So, those are the conditions on a daily basis we have to live with there. My mother could only go outside once last year. And then this year, she's asking, how many greenhouses are they allowed to put up? Isn't that gonna smell? I said, I don't know, Mom. I'll go ask. I'll find out. I did ask the commissioner. She said, there's no limit. I said, you mean there's no limit? So this is gonna all smell all through the neighborhood, through the reserve, to everybody right in Ashwegan? Like it's a nonstop problem for us. And I'd like to know what she's gonna do about it. Is this gonna stop?
I think that's why we're getting all the parties' information, and then council will have a meeting and regarding that, and then we'll let yourself and let the community know. Mhm.
Just on that.
Can you just push the,
Where is the switch here?
yep,
Oh, perfect.
there you go.
Yeah, just on that, I told Nancy I'd just come for a couple reasons, and one of them is a public meeting. Just not sharing documents between the proponents of these projects and the council. It needs to get up in the community because we see tons of stuff in social media, on Six Nations, across other Haudenosaunee communities in Ontario. We're not the only First Nation who's dealing with this. And I think Six Nations becomes a very good example of how they're going to deal with it positively. I think we don't have any problem with doing business, but when it's avalanched on you, my situation is I live in a wooded area, um, beautiful wooded area, lived there for 45 years, hunted the whole deal all the way through there, picked medicines. And when I heard there might be the possibility of legacy coming down our road, that whole possibility of clear cutting was annoying and angering. So how do we stop that? All of a sudden, they're bringing guys who've got chainsaws, and you've got these logging machinery coming in there, and I don't think anybody has ever been back there to look at how the landscape is. It's so rolling, it's so deep. There's so many features of drainage in that area. Um, that's one thing that I would love to go to a public meeting where everybody has the opportunity to explain their situation because we're all different. Nancy's situation, that's the large one right now. That's where you're going to get all the, I would say, information from the proponents, and that's for them to answer to the community. They can't be shy, and they should present this in full disclosure. And I have difficulty in saying that the commission names the limits. You're the governing body in the territory. They're still within your oversight. I'll say that again. They are still within your oversight. I have no difficulty looking at their what do you call it? Their guidelines or whatever they work towards. They're still responsible to all the people of Six Nations. Every one of us, not just other groups or the council. So that's my encouragement. Please, council, do a public meeting. Maybe do two public meetings because this is a huge item to deal with. Go ahead.
Yep, go ahead, Cynthia.
Thank you. Just to respond to that, uh, what was it, Wealth and Economy Committee that looked after things like, not looked after, but I guess they would have dialogue with if there's issues. The Cannabis Commission was amalgamated with the Lands Resource late last fall. And so we took it upon ourselves because we had no idea what's going on there. We took it upon ourselves to review the cannabis law and regulations. Not thoroughly, mind you. I couldn't sit here and answer questions. We pop them off at me, but the focus was, what is council's role in this law? What authority does council have in either the law or the regulations? And it's pretty little in that council has the authority to amend that law and the regulations. And this is a different feature, I guess. Council is responsible to fund the Cannabis Commission until they're self-sufficient. Because we're asking, like, how did this come to be at such and such, or what was the rationale? And it seems the rationale was the commission would charge um, licensing fees. They're a regulatory body. They would charge licensing fees, and that's how they would become self-sustaining, so that council wouldn't have to fund them anymore. And there was a couple other provisions that I can't recall off the top of my head. There's only about, but really nothing. So maybe just to go back a little, part of what council is doing right now is collecting as much information as we can, identifying all the various issues as you suggest, and to see how could, and also, meeting with the Cannabis Commission too, and we're saying, like, you would have had experience, but to work in cooperation with everyone to see this is what exists right now. It does, just the example I give you, it limits what council can do under there. But we're gathering all the information to see how could it be strengthened. Like it does say, and under the principles, one of the main principles is the health and safety of our community and the environment is paramount. So obviously things aren't being too healthy and safety as we speak. And we all have concerns about the environment. So if that's there, again, gathering all the information to see how can this be made better? What revisions could be made to both to strengthen it overall? And with the community meeting council, because we had already reported our little committee at some of the findings, we reported to council. And because of the nature of the issue, the council said it's now a council issue. But we would do that if that. But it was recommended by our committee there actually be like a community meeting. And it's been agreed to. And we emphasized it. I think what you said, Nancy, in your here, it's critical that everyone attend, everyone be in all the council and all the commission, because we all have what we work with. What we have here is what we have to work with, and we need to work together on it to try to resolve anything here. And one of the things that we had found in looking at this is I think they said there's something like 70 some of the little dispensaries are called, I guess, little stores. And of there's only, I think, is there about 8? 6 over there, Dale's telling me. He's giving me that many fingers. That only that many. So that's a huge problem. So it's trying to take a whole global view of it to see why aren't all these other ones, why aren't they stepping forward and getting regulated? Because again, the big thing of it is supposed to be to ensure the health and safety of our community members, to make sure in these dispensaries that our people can go in there, whether it's for medicinal purposes or whatever, that it's going to be safe for them. They're not going to get overdosed on who knows what or whatnot. But sorry, I wanted to explain that because you did have it in your paper and you mentioned that as well. But that is the plan.
And Cynthia chairs that committee that you went to.
Yeah. But the main reason why I'm here is to address that the location of this massive operation. You know, in my understanding and my common sense and everything else that I seen that was going on there, that it should have never been put there. That should have never been got to go ahead. Like I went to their cannabis commission meeting. Like I took my concerns there last July. I had, I took them there. I asked the questions. I never got the answers, and that's where it all fell short. So I went on with my life. And again, everything was still there. Here I am again back in, October, November, bringing more information in, what had gone on. They finished cutting everything down in the back. More trees went, you know, and this is me being unknown to what was coming back there, because it's behind me. Everybody sleeps in front of this operation. So on a daily basis, they're coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. All these unknowns, Asians walking down the road. You know, I even had one police say I was prejudiced against Asians. I said, "What the heck's that about?" I just don't know. Like, you grow up here and anything that's unknown to you is unknown in your everyday life. Like, I'm out there cutting grass, you know, or I'm working in my garden and that. I seen everything. I seen everything. Every picture that was taken by me. Why? I always question myself, what happened? Why do I have to look at this all the time? So that's why I'm here today. And I've learned that I'm a steward of the land. I got to take care of what's yet to come. That, you know, all of my mother's grandchildren have a place to come to, because that's our family land. Everybody knows where they grew up. That's where our roots are. Not just on the reserve, it's in where we grew up. It's always home. It's always we're going back home. It's a constant. I said, so that's what I think about. But when I see all this happening and I wonder, how did this happen? I actually I actually thought to myself, like, and I said, how did this get here? And that was one of the questions I asked that commission. And I was told there was no environmental study done. I was told in that meeting. And I said, so why did you keep going then? No answer. Nothing was given to me. And then I was told the land was leased to Aaron. But I was told when I was told by my brother that he held the license on it. So I was wondering about that. So what's going on? I thought to myself, am I privy to know what's going on in my neighborhood to feel safe? It was the safety. It was a safety for my mother. It was a safety for everybody around here, that we should have been informed from day one, because according to their policies, it said you had 15 days to reply. Nothing was ever given. It would just showed up, and you just watch it happen and happen and happen, and then all these unknown faces kept coming and coming and going. And one guy even in September told me he bought it. He was an Asian. I said, you can't own this. This is a Six Nations Indian reserve. You cannot own that. So he pulls out and gives me the finger. So I just, grabbed my phone, took a picture, verified. Because what I asked him is, why did you let this guy go driving down the road in this machine? There's no license plate on it. He was an Asian. So that guy got, and that's what he said to me. Oh, we bought that back there. That's how that conversation started, because I was cleaning on my property and it butts right up to the driveway. So that's what so he rolls out and gives me the finger and then comes back around to the other side, comes back around, must have went around the block and comes in the other way. And that was on a daily basis. Like people like that, like, there was no need for that. And when they started pushing on the land again and changing the flow of the water, and I went out there and I asked the guy, what are you doing? This is a natural waterway. You cannot do that. And then I get the police called on me for threatening or whatever, asking questions, being concerned, because you could flood me out in front here, And this was last year. And here we are back about the land again. So they put a berm up and that stopped all of the water from going through. allowed us to get flooded out twice. We had to go through that. One day I just got my mud boots on, went right over the berm and asked the guy, can you stop? Leave that corner open so that water will come get out of there. Didn't even listen to me. As soon as I walked away, and they were all non-natives, didn't have no connection to the land. The owner was never there. Nobody was ever present that I could talk to that was native, that was representing whatever was, who owned this farm. So, that's where we are today. So now we get massive greenhouses all over the property. And that's just utter concern for my mother and all the whole community. Uh, I don't even think about myself. I went in there with questions for everybody because I thought that I could be able to get some answers to say, you know, can't you look at what you're doing? Isn't this going to stop? Because the first year they put it all in the ground. The whole field was full. There were, and that's another question is, well, where's the profit from that? What did you get in return for that? Is that part of your agreement that you get a percentage of what they had sold from all of that cannabis? And I can verify they brought other plants in that were already planted and laid out all over the ground. There was no other place to put them. There was so much back there. So they get upset with me for taking pictures, but I'm just defending what I have. My land, and I have the right to do that. I have the right to live peacefully. I don't have to, like anything that's been going on here. That's my right. As living here amongst everybody else, that's our understanding. But it brings so much trouble and so much disruption and harm. I always had a gut feeling that there was something wrong here, and it's still there because it is so unsafe. And there's nobody directing nothing. And it's like, how can you just come here and just keep doing everything and nobody's ever watching you or nobody's ever, I ask these people, who said you could do that? And when they wouldn't leave that berm open, they mentioned Aaron. I'm just doing what Aaron Porter told us to do. By the way, you shouldn't be back here. I said, the reason why I'm here is because you're flooding me out. That's the reason. So if you want to call the cops, go ahead, call them. Maybe we can get something done. Maybe we can stop you from flooding us out. But that didn't happen. It was turned on me as me trespassing or something. So that was a fight on a daily basis for me. And everybody around the community. Greg, did you have something?
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. We've talked about this before too. You brought it up quite a few months ago. Yeah, you see the situation is like you said, is changing. To the chief and Cynthia's point, yeah, we have been looking at this. We've been listening to all the parties and trying to strengthen that relationship between us and the commission so we can make these harder decisions. And that's what we've been doing. Um, the MOU is primarily that we had an MOU is because they required funding from council. And that's primarily what the MOU is addressing, is a lot of the funding issues and how our relationships is with them and providing of transfer of records and stuff like that. And that's going to be, again, strengthened and updated as well. We've had several discussions too on community engagement, because we do have to listen to what has been said. So, and that again, it's in the process. Again, we're working again with the commission on that. The other thing too, from a historical perspective, is there'd been a change in the commission, right? There was a change of membership from just not long ago to recently. And again, we're still doing further investigations on how all those decisions were made.
and seeing if there were any missteps at all, if that happened. And seeing that now with the situation, how we're gonna basically rectify that. Um, yeah, so, because it is a concerning effort, but one question I had for you is, you were saying that you had other community members around you um, that had some concerns. Do you have like some notes or a record of those people and what their feelings were?
Yes, I have, my, my cousin, just lives a couple doors over. And last year, the smell from there was something in the air that she had a cold and it wouldn't go away until the fall.
Hmm.
And, and she just don't want to want to come out of there because she's afraid of what's back there. I said, no, that's okay, Linda. Like, I'll bring your letter forward, because she was sick, like literally sick, couldn't like her breathing, and it lasted that whole season because where I live, there's an opening, so it was blowing through. But where they live over there, there's 3 houses, and it would trap that smell, and it's directly behind in front of this building. Like that was a big concern of what was actually put on those plants in that field. And that's what's rolled up in the back of my property now is all those chemicals that were in that ground from 5 years of tobacco and 1 year of cannabis. And now they're all rolled up and across the back of our properties, all encapsulated because it was wet when they pulled it back there in that berm. But yet they could roll in some good dirt to plant their plants in. And they roll all that up in a ball and put it at the back of our properties. So that's a part of the issue.
Right. Would that, yeah, any of those testimonies that could be provided would be helpful.
Right.
Because, as we know, other people that have opinions, and if they're affected,
Right.
it's always good to hear. Um,
Well, my
again,
neighbor Danielle, she couldn't be here, but she'll be at the community meeting, and we can have more people like at the community meeting. Like we want to present you with these first of all, and then I hope you all can come for to be at the community meeting and possibly have the commission there. Um, if any one of my sisters or anybody want to talk?
Say like we had no idea. So we're
Can you just come in so they can hear you online? Just so. Thanks.
I don't know how to describe here, but our property
Can
is
you just introduce to your name?
Patty Powlis.
Thank you.
So our property is to the back of it, and the first thing we did notice the smell last year, and definitely the speedway was getting louder. That was one of the things I noticed, like starting in August, not knowing at all that the clear cutting was even happening. Just that I just kept noticing that it was louder from the summer before. Um, and the smell, we were starting to notice the smell and the noise. Like even on Sundays, like you could hear all this clanging and banging, like 8 o'clock in the morning, on a Sunday, which I don't even understand because I mean, we try to be considerate of our neighbors for cutting the grass. Um, and we just thought, because we have not received any notice. Like the only reason we know about the grow up is from Nancy. We just thought it was the metal, the scrap metal business that was creating all this ruckus and noise and whatnot. The cannabis smell, um, again, we were no notification at all of any of this coming into our neighborhood.
Thank you. Okay,
Just responding to, thank you, Chief.
can you push, just push the button?
So it's just responding to one of the comments you made, it's between, right now, it sounds like it's between council and the commission. Don't forget the proponents of this. They need to come to that public meeting. I don't care if they bring their lawyers or whoever they bring, but they better be prepared to answer every question the community has. The other thing, like council always has an annual budget. It's audited, and that's probably a responsibility that should be on the commission. They should provide that too, just so you have peace of mind. Everybody's responsible for these duties, so they need to comply. And you mentioned a number of times, like you're here to protect the land, the children, and I just want to mention this one thing that's part of our, like, it's like 325 years old. It's called the Dish with One Spoon, a treaty that closed the Beaver Wars in 1701. And just like the three basic tenders to that are share the territory and the resources with other nations. But somewhere in that, non-Indigenous people came in, and as long as they abided by that rule, then hey, they were allowed in. The next one is take only what you need. Take only what you need from the community, from the territory. And then the last part is maintain and protect what the Creator, Segoy Dison, gave us our children. Because everything we're working on right now is that it's a gift to the future generations. And we don't want to see it start falling apart in 2024, 2025. So we have that responsibility. The commission has that responsibility, and so do the proponents of all this production that's going on in our territory. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay, I have one more thing here. My sister just handed out all the paperwork here. Are you aware of this? Is
No.
anybody aware of this?
first I've seen it.
So Aaron owns a property, and now Brian is on as a owner of this property at 1581. This is a project that Brian is putting on the same property where all of these greenhouses are on. He has it marked out on that property. Brian Porter, Aaron's father. So he's 2 row. So this is a joint venture with this Horizon Legacy and 2 row. He is putting 30 units on this property, on the same property where this cannabis, all this operation is. And I have known information that he received 3.7 million in funding. I'm totally taken by this because there's no infrastructure. There's no sewers down that far. There's water line, but it goes back to the back, to the operation, to the cannabis operation. So I wanted to bring this awareness to you. What else they're doing back there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and the 3.7 came from the Canadian government. It's you can read more about it. It's a robotics. It's something to do with robotics, and it just happened probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, that maybe not even that long ago, that Brian was added to the ownership of the property in the back. Like it went over. It was signed over to Aaron in February. That's when I went back there to speak with him, and I talked with some of the workers back there. Must be one of his partners. He had him on the phone, Aaron, at the time. So I knew who to talk to finally about the land. And then this here was just recently found that, we were wondering why that was, why would he be hooked onto this land now? But I see where they're gonna build it. It's just right off of Fourth Line, just like in front of this massive grow up. That's why the construction workers are still there on this land. Like I observed a guy in a driveway, a non-native, and pretty much observed that he was supposed to be this project manager of this building that's going up to house 30 units. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, and that's added, to what's already going on. So please, you know, it's paramount to get this taken care of because it's just going on, and nobody's ever, it just seems like it's at us, we're stalling on something that's taken so much of our time and energy that we hope to, get this looked after, please. And 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 on my papers, like when we have our meeting, I'm gonna put out the full everything from the beginning to now. What everything started, and you can have a full view of everything, all the pictures that I've taken, you know, to see the whole thing unfold, and you'll understand how it became what it is on a daily basis. Because it's not a way to live. Let's put it that way. It's not a peaceful way that we should be living here on a reserve, and it should be safe. And that is my main concern, is this has to go. The other parts, like with the cannabis and that, that's what you take care of. My concern is it just can't be there. Sorry, shouldn't be there. Shouldn't have been there. And
Okay.
and I always question my authority on it. Did I get to have a say? Apparently I didn't, because we didn't know. And it was certain people that said, we didn't need to know. It's private land. How private is it when everybody sees it? We're all pulled into the same thing.
Go ahead, Audrey.
Just a couple of quick questions. Thanks for coming and bringing this again to us. Um, are you aware of any partners that Aaron has? Is Brian a partner? One question. The second one is Jesse still involved in this? And what is his involvement been from the beginning? And when did his involvement stop, or has it stopped?
Um, what I observed is Jesse never went on the land. He was never on the land whenever their agreement started, which was when I seen him back there last February, January, February. He never had any of these machines or nothing on that land. So their sale agreement, I I get started back then, and it changed over hands in February. Because one non-member did say they were paying a mortgage on it. So I get all of this information from people that aren't even native or have no right to speak on the land, because I guess we never had, like how they started it. Nobody had the right to know anything. But it impacts us on a daily basis. Anything that impacts us on a daily basis, like hooking to the water main, and safety wise, again, only one way in and one way out. Any other time you want to get in there, you're going to go through somebody's property. No concerns for anybody. That's as far as I know, Audrey, that's all I seen is he's never been on there from all of last year and this year. Cause he's scrapyard on the same driveway. So that's how much traffic you get on one, driveway going in. You got a scrapyard and you got a massive cannabis operation. So that's on a daily basis. And there's people been hollering around back there like we don't know. It's just like, okay, hopefully nobody's, fighting or anything. So, because there's only one driveway.
Yep, go ahead, Hazel.
Nancy, you
Mhm.
mentioned that, Aaron leased the land. I was of the understanding he bought the land.
Last year when I went to the commission meeting,
Mhm,
um, Carl Hill,
mhm.
that's when it was confirmed. That's when he said that. He said, didn't Jesse lease the land to Aaron Porter? So that was my first knowing.
So was it leased or sold?
It's sold now. That was last year. It was leased to him. And then it went to, Aaron's ownership in February, which I confirmed with Lands and Membership before I went back there to look for the owner, to ask about that.
So at that point in time when, the land was sold, what activity had happened there that, the time up until the sale? Was it they had a outdoor grow of cannabis?
Yes, it was all in the field. And
And
then
there was
when
no,
greenhouses,
greenhouses?
they were behind that building. You couldn't see them.
So when
Only
your
I could see them from
So
there where
when
I
your
live.
brother was there, he started to build greenhouses as well?
No,
No?
no, he was never there.
Oh,
All these Asian people that Aaron had there, or whoever had them there, they were the ones built everything. Even the fence that they put up, there was Asians out there. And I asked, I said, I called my father. I said, can you have Jesse here and look after this? And here it was that same non-native guy that I was talking to just this February. He represented. So I just okay. I guess it's gonna be theirs.
it would be interesting to know for sure the truth.
Right.
Who's backing that?
Exactly. I hope to know too, like because it's so unsafe.
Well, just when you say that there's Asians all around her every day, that
Right.
must be very uncomfortable for anybody living because it's just not right for us. We've never had to deal with that in any of our lives
Right.
where you got people in here doing what they're doing now.
Yes.
And if they're there early in the morning and you say they're working, don't they go home?
No,
So
because
are they staying on site?
yes.
So see, that's another thing we were told. They're not there.
And it's such a big, massive operation. They have to have people there because they're around the clock there.
It would be really nice. Oh, I should be closer. It would be really nice if we could get the true facts. It just seems that as much as I've heard, I was not convinced. I wish this never happened on this reserve. If I had my way, it wouldn't have happened, but it was the government who legalized it. And here we are having to fall into that way of dealing with it. And look what it's doing to our community.
Right. I
Look what it's
agree.
doing to everybody that I would hate to have had a nice view of your surroundings, your backyard. And if you look face to face into a berm right outside your window, that would make anybody upset.
Right.
Tell your mom, I'm very sorry that she has to deal with this. She should be peaceful.
Thank you.
So thank you for coming in. Go ahead, Amos.
Yeah, just thank you, Nancy, and I'm appreciative of the fact that you let me bring this to council when we first started talking on the phone. Um, in your circles, your network that you have. I think I'm trying to find a date, May 13th, I think we met. And I put a resolution to the council to, to not have any more cannabis operations from this point forward into perpetuity forever. We don't need them in this community. Unfortunately, I could not get a seconder. But perhaps going through these situations where we're going to have a public meeting, the community will get involved and give us direction whether they should support my resolution to not have cannabis grow ops anywhere on Six Nations. We only got 44,000 acres, right? We don't need more than one or two or three or four or five. So anyway, I just want to know whether your network would support that kind of position, not to have any more grow ops from here into perpetuity forever.
Yes.
So that's what we got to talk about when we have these public meetings. It's unfortunate we didn't have hearings. I'm a strong proponent of hearings where you can have the community come and talk and give their positions on issues like this. And it's unfortunate we didn't have that in our toolbox, I should say. So anyway, I just want to lay that out there for you so that you know that you have people that support your endeavor and your position. And again, I thank you for letting me bring it to council and so you can come to our first meeting. So that's my position. And I told council it's my moral compass, my imperative that I grew up with, right? That we should not get involved with liquor, anything that is a mind changer, is what we say in Gaihuyo. So then that's my moral compass, my moral imperative to say that. And right now, that's my position. And I don't know whether the community will support my position, but it's here. And I say it publicly now. I think we need to really go carefully on this because it's starting to create anxiety, as you well know, and because we're hearing all kinds of stories. And that's what we're trying to sort out. And hopefully we'll have these public meetings where we can get some more guidance from everyone. And as you said, the proponents as well, David. So I think we need to hear those voices and your voices to give us final direction where we want to go with this. And as I said, it's my moral compass and my moral imperative that says no. We don't need that in this community. And I just want to remind my council that we already made a resolution not to allow alcohol sales and wine in corner stores on the reserve. We already made a band council resolution to that effect. It's too bad we didn't do that for this.
Right.
But now Ontario said you can sell wine and beer in corner stores in Ontario. But we fought against it. We created a resolution that says no one can do that in this territory. And if you recall, I don't know, 10 years ago, there was trying to be a brewery brought here, but we turned that back as well. So we do have some moral authority here, but we all have to be on the same page so that we know what we're going to go into, right? And we have it in our toolbox to do that, but we have to do it together. So I just want to thank you for bringing this to our attention. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, ma'am.
So thank you again, Nancy, for coming in.
There's one more.
Oh, okay.
There's one more thing I wanna.
Are you going to read this whole document into the record because people are listening? Are we going to? I know we kind of stopped at question
Yeah,
8.
you read
Yeah.
the first page.
The first page, and the other one too is that number 8, is a cannabis license holder entitled to have various locations under one license, or would they be required to purchase separate license for separate locations? And that goes on with what's going on that right down fourth line. Is it all one network or one, owner, or is it even allowed to bring them all down there, you know? It's, so I've handed out the statement issued by Mohawk Council in 2017, which the Haudenosaunee Confederacy Chief Council has agreed to and support. Recently, another statement regarding cannabis was issued, and it also includes in your package. So those territories say no. Are, you know, does it look like that in the future for us? As Amos said, like, no to, because it causes so much problems with what's going on in everything in this world today. And the next thing is um we have some more questions. I don't know what our timeline is. Like I would like Rhonda to read if if that would be okay. I don't know what the timeline is. Like you'll see on the presentation, like, and it's an overview of the different questions, like the environmental, the public safety, um, health.
Hello, questions under the general one?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Leslie, did you have a comment?
I do, thank you. I just want to thank everybody for being here tonight. It's important that we hear your voices, and every one of your voices is essential here. I think about my first statement when this came across to our table, back to our council, is that I was very upset when the Canadian government made it law for cannabis to be legalized. Morally and ethically, I hated it. But there was a reality that there was now a legal binding with the Canadian government. So we still have to work with the Cannabis Commission, and I know what Mr. Key has presented about having zero here. Well, that's not a reality, and neither was it a reality when we said no alcohol here, because we all know that there was other ways of obtaining alcohol here on the reserve. And the same with cannabis. That was here even before it was legislated to be here. So now, sorry, I have to keep clearing my throat. I think there's something in this supposed to be zero sugar deal. I won't show you what it is, but I must be allergic to it. So anyway, when I think about this, and if if the government had asked us what where do we stand with this, and had our input, any First Nations across Canada, which they didn't do. They never asked. Why? Because we don't pay into their taxes. So whatever law they make, because that's a revenue for them, just like the alcohol taxes. So today we sit here and we discuss this, and I just absolutely love it. I do. Do you know why? Because there's a plan B in place. It might not well be this one, even though you presented it and I love it. What if it's not that? Because we're talking about, like, our cousins or our families or our friends. We're talking about community members here at Six Nations. That's why I love that you're here today, because each and every one of us are representative of each and this community. With that said, when I hear the name of Jesse, I don't have disdain in my heart. When I hear the name of Aaron, I don't have disdain in my heart. When I hear Nancy's name, I don't have disdain in my heart. Anybody's name. Because we are Six Nations people. We are. And I know in my heart that each and every one of us wants something really good. It's not money that you want. You want to see the posterity for this community. Am I right? You want to see for our faces that we don't see yet, for them to have a good community, that there's good infrastructure, that there's hydro, that there's good bridges, roads, houses. And so do we. And so do you. But it's not, remember, it's not you and us, it's we together. It's always going to be together. Have you considered that those men have heard your voices? If if you were talking about me having built a business, I would hear you. And I know they hear you. I know. We've met with them. They have heard you. So I would be rest assured that plan B is coming. I don't think that they would be that careless to think that it wouldn't create this in the community. We do know about the infrastructure that's lacking here at Six Nations. Phase 3 hydro, we talked about that. Water issues, we know about that. So as we go forward tonight, I want you to know in your hearts that as you are business people, you build your house from a foundation, you go up. You run into anything that goes wrong, you have to fix it. You build on someone else's property, you gotta stop. You have to reconsider which way this is going to go. So I think that, and I believe there's a plan B, and I don't think it's anything that we need to be feeling threatened by. Even though that did alarm me, I'm not going to deny that. And when I heard the stories coming forward one after the other, it was like, whoa, like this is something else. And at the same time, we have to believe in our fellow man, each other. Your voices were heard and are heard. So I believe with due diligence, as we talk about, we will find some good answers. We will help our community.
Go ahead, Nancy.
So the impact on our community, our families now look at no land being available for housing. Land sells for 25,000 an acre. 25,000 an acre it went for. How are we gonna be able to, look in the future and see anything that anybody can build that they gotta pay $25,000 an acre? It's really getting out of control. And we have to pull the reins back, like Leslie said, everybody together, for a common goal. Is nobody can sit on the fence on anything. We gotta either for it or against it. And look at everybody's concerns. Like not just when they're presenting, like all the time. Because that was our common goal when we lived amongst one another. Everybody had the agreement that, we live, everybody knew that's your property. Nobody, you could leave things out, nobody would take it. And those days are gone. Because our understanding living with one another isn't there anymore. So I hope we can go forward, and I hope you all can come to the meeting. We're gonna have we'll have a full meeting for the community with the counselors, hopefully everyone in the commission, everybody involved, like you said. Like, how's that? I hope that comes soon, better than later. Like, because it's going on too long. Like I said to myself, January 1st, I can't live another year going through this again. Because I was more or less a pain in you guys' side coming up in here all the time. There's that girl. There's that girl. Well, I hope that we could all work together. But I would like Rhonda to talk because she has some we had our discussions and we want to bring some more things forward, just for you to make sure you think about going forward as you have to collect all your information together.
Can't hear that light, then it's just because it's live and the people, I didn't hear you.
Don't sit down up there, never land.
Don't sit down, just stand up. You got the mic.
I'm all right. So before I start, I just want to read what uh, the Mohawk Nation Council of Chiefs position was on that Seven Leaves project back in November 16th, 2017. So the Mohawk Nation Council of Chiefs, Clan Mothers, and people of the Longhouse do not support the growing of or use of cannabis by anyone, as this is a mind changer, and the message being sent to our young people would be wrong. Like alcohol, which is legal, cannabis or weed can destroy our people's minds and cause us to forget who we are. And I believe the Haudenosaunee Council is still, to my knowledge, still abiding by this letter that they put out. We are asking them, we will be asking them for an update. As we've been in constant contact with them. And, so yeah. And, our network, I guess, as Amos had put it, when I was asked to come and help the porters, create awareness. And the reason she had asked me for this awareness was because a lot of these issues that Nancy is putting forward were falling on deaf ears. So I went there and I saw what was going on, and me and the Nancy and a couple other friends decided to take a ride back there. And I went live once I seen all the fallen trees and the raping of the land. And I'll have to tell you, that really hurt my heart for one thing. And in short, I was pretty angry to see that, to see such destruction of our lands just to build a grow up. So the Cannabis Commission has a lot to answer for, and so do yous, because yous are the ones that endorse this. Not yous personally, most of yous were here when yous did this. So, and some of yous weren't. So anyway, I gathered up the women and a few men, but mostly women, and we're trying to develop a positive and maybe a safe solution to stop this. And we will. I can guarantee we are going to stop this. And it's going to be with or without you. How that's going to be done, well, we'll have, that's in the near future. But like I said, we're brainstorming ideas. We're trying to be strategic. We're trying to be peaceful. And so we come up with a lot of questions. Those ones that Nancy had read earlier, those were like our main questions. And I'm hoping, we are all hoping, that the questions that I read, that yous will get the answers for, because that is your duty to find these answers, not ours. You owe it to the Porters, the Millers, the Paulus, the Martins, everybody up and down, the people on the trail, the businesses, everybody that's going to be impacted by this. I mean, our kids already from the trail. What's that smell? Oh, I'll tell them the truth. I'll take them over there. we've taken a few people from our community. I'm here and I just came from a conference in Niagara Falls, and the ladies there from all over know about this. I'm like, yep, here's my video. Here's my pictures. See what the elected band council got us into? And that's what they're saying. What kind of council you got down there? That's what we want to know. This should not be happening, not in this capacity. I don't have anything personally against a dispensary, cannabis, but of this magnitude, hell no. Hell no. In someone's backyard, but they couldn't go find a big open field, maybe in Jarvis somewhere, or I don't know. Anyway, before I get too damn pissed off about the whole thing even more, I will just read out these questions. So some of the questions we come up with is, what is the procedure that was used by the Six Nations Cannabis Commission to complete an environmental assessment prior to the approval of this project? Did the elected band council know about the clear cutting of the trees, which is including our Carolinian forest, to make room for this project? Do we have an environmental standard that correlates with our cultural connections to Mother Earth? What kind of carbon footprint will this business be creating? Will there be proper disposal of all waste generated by this business? What will their source of water for this project? What will be their source of water for this project? And will it strain any local waterways or affect groundwater levels? What plans are in place for proper use and disposal of pesticides and fertilizers? What plans are in place to protect against volatile organic compounds, to guard against air pollution? What plans are in place regarding light pollution to ensure it doesn't affect local wildlife and ecosystems? How could there not be an environmental study before allowing the destruction of old growth trees in many wildlife habitats? Are they posting the types of chemicals they are using? Because they are in the most polluted area near daycares, families, elders, schools, which we should all be made aware, and the dangers associated with said chemicals. What is the impact these chemicals will have on the water table? How can forest areas be protected? Why wasn't an environmental assessment done from day one? Why have they continued to let them put greenhouses up after the environmentalist that you employ, and she knows nothing about it? Public safety. Can you assure that local residents are safe with so many non-native members living and working directly behind people's homes? Can you ensure the safety of local residents from violence, theft, armed robbery, or organized crime involvement due to the high street value of cannabis? Will this business be following all fire prevention guidelines to ensure they don't pose hazards to the community? Will all structures be built following housing guidelines to ensure structural integrity? We have heard about human remains being found in the spring at a different location, and we were told that the deceased had been there since January. Because there was no missing persons reported being circulated for these individuals, are there concerns that human trafficking could be happening at this location? Health. What precautions are in place for odor control throughout Oswego in close proximity to residents' homes, businesses, schools, and the Airfall Lodge? Have overall health concerns been examined to protect the health and well-being of our community members? General. Were any local homeowners and businesses consulted with prior to the approval of this project? Will there be increased law enforcement demands to manage related incidents? Will this business create a negative perception or stigma potentially affecting nearby property values? Is there a difference between dispensaries and grow op licenses? Who is looking after the grow operation located at 1581 Fourth Line Road? Where are the environmentalists for these grow operations? How is it that they were hooked up so quickly to the water line when some people have been waiting? Elected band council, can you guarantee with 100% certainty that across these 110 acres within the 100+ greenhouses and buildings that there is only cannabis grown, distributed, sold, with associated being made, imported, exported, and or grown, and or continue to be grown at the 1581 Fourth Line Road grow up? Will elected band council create a MOU between the band council and the people of Six Nations to acknowledge the project and their 100% devotion to the 1581 Fourth Line grow up with Legacy Farms to ensure that there are no narcotics being grown, made, imported, exported, distributed, or sold from Legacy Farms? Is the band council, along with the Cannabis Commission, capable of providing an inspector to test and visit each location securely and in a timely manner? For a grow up of this magnitude and size and the others being built now, would it not require many more inspectors? And what's the process for this? Is there a difference within your licensing between growing cannabis and having it imported from another location, meaning off reserve? And are these plants being imported and tested? Is each plant tested? How long does this testing take? And who's doing the testing and documenting of this? Is this a part of the policy and procedure of Legacy Farms to Band Council and Cannabis Commission? If a test comes back negative or contaminated, illegal chemicals, etc., what is the procedure and process in place to shut it down? Is the greenhouse that is shut down the grow up itself, and what has to be rectified in order to regain permission to proceed with their day-to-day operation? What authority does Band Council and the Cannabis Commission have in regard to this? At what capacity will the shutdown happen? So, in a recent media release from Aaron Porter, he says, Legacy Farms chose to work under the guidance of the Six Nations Cannabis Commission due to increasing health and safety concerns stemming from an unregulated local cannabis industry. Currently, there are approximately 75 dispensaries on the territory, but only 8 are licensed through the Cannabis Commission. Likewise, of about 25 production sites, only 6 are officially licensed. This imbalance presents a clear risk to public health, allowing for the circulation of untested, potentially dangerous products. It is important to recognize that these dispensaries are doing their best to meet demand, but they need safe, reliable sources. Our goal is to fill that gap with clean, tested cannabis. So he's saying the others are wrong and he's right. Is there documentation to prove this statement? Should the residents and buyers of the other licensed cannabis stores be shut down because of this threat that it is not clean? Is there a high demand for a grow up of this size from the Cannabis Commission to support this statement that is needed? And all dispensaries and growers are in this high of a demand of this amount of cannabis. Are the gas, hydro, water infrastructures able to distribute to these utilities at the high magnitude it will require? Has Hydro One, Six Nations Gas, and Public Works been consulted? And will this impose a problem for future housing development? How many Six Nations employees are employed at this location? I didn't see or hear of any job posting for employment. Do they have a percentage of Six Nations band members working at the Grow Up? Oh, that sounds like a repetitive question there. How and when is conflict of interest determined? If conflict is determined, what steps are taken? If there was no consultation with youth, what can this be done? When can this be done? So they talked about, another one was repetitive about the remains. So if band council is to be an arm's length and without authority to revoke a license, then how can they stop the Cannabis Commission from selling any more licenses? What is contained in the MOU between band council and the Cannabis Commission? If the MOU has expired, how long has it been expired? And why is this grow up still operating? So these, like I said, these questions come from all us women at the table, various community members, people that signed the petition. Whether it's online, whether it's from anywhere. So some of them did sound repetitive, but we don't really want to dismiss anybody's questions because they're all important. This is the concern of the community and other surrounding communities. Right now, Six Nations is really, really frowned upon because of this huge, massive grow up. And I have a question. Yous put out a statement that said the health and safety concerns of this community is paramount. That's what your buddy Darren wrote, right? That's what he put out there. It's paramount. That's a very big word. Has a lot of meaning to it. So if it's so paramount, why is this still running? Why is this grow up still in operation? I don't get it. I really, really don't get it. If you're gonna leave it up to the people to dismantle it, you know what's gonna happen. Someone's gonna get hurt and it's gonna fall right back on this floor. Because yous created it. Yous created the Cannabis Commission. For what? For money? What are you gonna gain from it? You got a lot of disgruntled people. You got elders right there, you gotta look at this. And we're supposed to be the people who are stewards of the land. We're supposed to be looking after our elders. What kind of messages are we sending to our kids? A whole lot of everything is involved in this. Even the people involved. When I did that video, and I went live with it, and I'm sure every one of you probably saw it. If not, it's too bad, it's gone. I hid it. It may surface again, but right now, it's mine. But those men state right in that video, they live there. And they have been living there. And each time we meet at Joyce Porter's house, we don't see them coming and going. Not like you would when you see the farmers, say Villanova, or the ones working the ginseng and the soybean off the res and other rural areas. It's controlled. You see the migrant workers being bussed in and bussed out. But not here, you don't. Why should they? Because they live here, they said. And their boss is Aaron Porter. States right on there. There ain't nothing I'm making up. And so we're gonna host our own community meeting. And like Nancy said, we hope you will come there. We're gonna invite everybody. We'll invite the world if we have to. We'll go live, we'll Zoom it, everything. We're gonna bring all our material forward, stuff we haven't even shown you here today. We're doing your work. This is what you guys should be doing. So if you're leaving it up to the people, then I guess you're leaving it up to the people. I've been talking with the chief of police. I've been talking with a lot of people. We all have been. I've been talking with the chiefs and the clan mothers. And if they give us direction, we're taking it. And I'm glad they put out there that they don't condone this. And also, just for the record, I want to know who in here said I took $100,000 from Aaron Porter. Because that's bullshit. I ain't desperate for money. I work every fucking day. Sorry. But I work every day. I travel 2 hours to my job and 2 hours home. I don't need money. I don't need to go to this guy.
You wanna know it's me?
I know I heard it was you.
Yes,
Glad you fessed up.
I said what I said. I mean what I said. So don't make it personal here. This is not what you're here to
Oh,
do.
yes, it is. This
No,
is
it's not.
personal. This is very personal.
No, it's not.
Okay.
This is council. Call order, chief.
Yep. Okay, we got your message. We have all your questions for sure. For sure, after, we will get, the answers to you, Nancy. And thank you for coming in. Thank you for sharing.
For your time.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, council. Can I have a mover to accept his information? Moved by Audrey, second by Cynthia. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Okay, let's go to number 6. Adoption of the general council minutes of May 27th, 2025. Is there a mover? Moved by Cynthia. Is there a seconder? Second by Carrie. All in favor? Anybody opposed? See none, carried. Let's go to number 7, Chiefs updates. So let's start off with the Iroquois Caucus has requested a meeting with the Prime Minister, and we have not received a response yet. Canada is developing a new national interest legislation and is looking to consult with First Nations. Additionally, Indigenous Service Canada has advised that Canada has now reintroduced Bill C-38, an act and amend the Indian Act as Bill S-2. I'll provide more details on both federal bills shortly in my update under new federal legislation. Wilford, on May 29th, Wilfrid Laurier hosted their second annual education appreciation event, where I attended and gave welcoming remarks. Chiefs of Ontario, on May 30th, I attended the May Chiefs of Ontario Leadership Council meeting virtually. Due to the ongoing importance of Bill 5 adequacy, the whole agenda was amended to allow the significant discussion on Bill 5. On May 30th, I participated in the discussion of the Executive Leadership Development Program, as I was invited to participate by the Canada School of Public Services. There was 15 participants from various public services departments that came to Six Nations. Yep. Okay. On Friday, May 30th, Central Administration hosted the annual Community Awareness Barbecue. We drew names for the grand prize winners and the 50-50 draw. And the 50-50 draw was $4,960. Congratulations to all the winners. And a special thank you to all the staff who made the day possible. and it was a success. And also thank you to the counselors that could attend. Also on June 3rd, students from JC Hills Thunder Club assisted me in planning community gardens in the planters surrounding the administration building. Please allow them time to grow. We planted tomatoes, lettuce, bell peppers, squash, cucumbers, broccoli, spinach, and basil and strawberries. Will be available for the community to enjoy. We'll keep you posted when they'll be able to be harvested. Canada is developing a national interest bill to fast track nation building projects with streamlined regulatory process, much like Ontario's Bill 5. The legislation will outline criteria to determine if a project is the national interest. Once determined, a federal minister would be assigned to oversee and review process on how the project will be built. We have Bill S2 reintroduced by Canada in May, replace the earlier Bill C38, which died on the order paper following the Parliament in January. According to Canada, Bill S2 aims to address inequities in the Indian Act, including enfranchisement and outdated language. Also, Ontario announced an investment of 500 million to create a new critical minerals processing fund as part of its plan to protect Ontario. This includes nearly 3.1 billion in loan grants, scholarships to support Indigenous participation, partnership, and ownership in Ontario supplies chain. On June 1st, 2025, Minister Rickford released a statement in recognition of National Indigenous History Month, stating, as part of our government's commitment to protect Ontario, we continue working with communities to ensure reconciliation is a reality for Indigenous people, now for the future generations. Yet, this is from my quote, my thought, yet Ontario continues to ignore First Nations opposition on Bill 5, and Bill 5 still passed. And the last one is just a monthly update from Indigenous Service Canada. It was just a recap on the measles activity in Canada, the communication materials on One Health, and also information on free naloxone kits and training for status members by visiting getnaloxone.ca. So that's my update. Can I have a mover to accept my update? Moved by Cynthia, second by Greg. A comment to Audrey?
Yeah, just to let you know that during the community awareness, when we had our council barbecue here, Councillor Hazel Johnson, Melba Thomas, and myself attended a well-being conference at Polytech on Jordan's Principle. Yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead, Amos.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on, weren't you having a meeting with the Minister of Indian Affairs or ISK, or you didn't have that?
Haven't had that yet.
Oh, okay, thought it was
Yep,
on.
still working on that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so it's been moved in second. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Seen none, carried. Okay, let's go to number 8. Motion to adjourn. Moved by Greg, second by Carrie. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Seen none, carried. Thank you for joining us tonight, and have a great night, everyone.
Stopped.
Thank you, Jody.